Hi everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a delicious biryani and I'm so excited to be sharing this recipe with you. It's a Dindigul-style boneless mutton biryani. So we have all of our ingredients laid out here and let's see what we need. So we're starting with 2 pounds of long grain basmati rice that we will be soaking in some water later on. It's about 4.5 teacups. We have boneless mutton, about 3 pounds or 1.5 kilos. I've marinated that in some yogurt, turmeric and salt overnight. I have a couple of red onions, so we'll be using about 1 pound of sliced red onions and 0.6 pounds of sliced tomatoes. So I'll be chopping those and slicing those up. Now for our powders, I'm using half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, a teaspoon of chili powder. You can choose to omit this if you don't like it spicy. The juice of 1 lemon, about 2 tablespoons. Ginger garlic paste, 3 tablespoons. I have some green chilies that you will be slitting and using. Right here I have coconut milk, about half to 1 cup depending on how thick it is, and a bunch of whole spices. So we have some bay leaves, cardamom about 6 to 7, cloves about 10, star anise, which is another spice here, a stick of cinnamon, and this is what you call the blackstone flower. It's a lichen. It's called dagar ka phool in Hindi or kalpasi in Tamil. So we're using all whole spices. Right here I have sun-dried sliced white onions that we'll fry lightly in oil and use it to garnish our biryani. A whole bunch of cilantro or coriander leaves and a big bunch of fresh mint. So the cilantro can be chopped small. The mint, I will be taking the leaves off and using it. So this is a 3 to 4 step process. We'll be using an InstaPot to cook our biryani, but because everything is done in parallel, it goes really fast. So let's get started. So I've sliced our red onions and tomatoes and I have those ready. So these are the ingredients we need to get started on our biryani base. I'm going to get started first by cooking our mutton. So I have the marinated mutton here. I'm going to add that. I'm using an electric pressure cooker. So with the mutton, I'm going to add a few of our whole spices and about 3 measured cups of water. So once the mutton starts cooking, we can start making our biryani masala on the stove. So it's really quick. Now that I have my mutton cooking, I can now start my biryani base masala. So I'm going to start with heating a pan with 2 to 3 tablespoons of oil, and I'm going to start by gently frying my whole spices. That's cloves, star anise, cardamom, the kalpasi or blackstone flower, cinnamon sticks. Make sure your flame is low or they will start popping and splashing. So just keep stirring it a little bit. This really flavors that oil, which in turn flavors the biryani. The blackstone flower is a very interesting spice. It's a lichen and it really lends a very deep, rich color to South Indian dishes. Now that that's cooking for about 30 seconds, I'm going to add my sliced onions. And at this point you can increase your heat and salt your onions a little so that they sweat and they brown quicker. We're going to give it about 4 to 5 minutes and come back and see how it looks. As you can see, I've caramelized my onions really well. That renders a very delicious flavor to the biryani, and it also colors the biryani a nice deep rich brown. So at this point I'm going to take 4 of my chilies. I've slit them not all the way through, but most of the way through, adding that, and the ginger garlic paste. So this has to cook. So if you've been doing this on a medium heat, you want to probably lower this down because the paste can burn easily. So just gently saute it for about 5 minutes and you should really smell the paste cooking. That raw smell should go away. And along with this, I'm adding the chopped cilantro stalks. Cook this down. The stalks should render some water, which will help the paste cook. About 4 or 5 minutes. My ginger garlic paste has cooked down. See how beautiful those onions look? They're nicely caramelized and brown, and it's really gonna flavor the biryani so much. I'm gonna add the bay leaf. Let's break it up. And a little of my powders, turmeric and chili powder. Remember, chili powder is optional. Give it a good stir. Turmeric lends a very light yellow color to the biryani. And now I have my sliced tomatoes that I'm adding. And we're going to cook this down really well too. So you can add some water at this point or cook it covered on low till the tomatoes are well mashed. So my tomatoes have cooked down really well, and at the side here I have a small pan with some oil. I have my desiccated onions that I'm going to add and fry it gently till it becomes a light brown. We're going to use that for garnishing our biryani. So while my onions are browning on a low flame, I've soaked my rice. My meat has cooked, so I've separated the water. I have about 5.5 cups of stock that I got from cooking the mutton. I've set that aside. I've added some water to the coconut milk. So together, the coconut milk and the stock together should measure enough liquid to cook your rice. So for 4.5 cups of soaked basmati rice, I typically use 1.5 times the liquid or water. So make sure you measure that accurately using the same measuring cup that you did for the rice. I also have my lemon juice right here. And back to our pan. Our masala is ready. So at this point I'm going to add the rest of the chopped mint and cilantro leaves. Give it a good stir. So we want 1/2 of the leaves to cook and the second half to be relatively fresh. So you just wilt it just a little bit. My flame is low, so I'm going to give it a good stir. And now we're ready to mix all of this together in the InstaPot with some salt and finish our biryani. So into my InstaPot or electric pressure cooker, I'm going to add the meat mixture along with the tomato masala base. I just gave it a quick stir on the same pan. So add that at the bottom. Now remember, your meat is already cooked. So if you're using an InstaPot or a similar electric pressure cooker, you want to use the rice option this time to cook the rice because the meat is cooked. Okay, all of that with mint and cilantro and all of the leaves. Add your rice on top of it. So I've drained the rice of its water. I'm not adding any of the water. I've thrown the water away because it has a lot of starch. And just adding the rice. Along with the stock that we reserved when we cooked our meat. That's about 5.5 cups. The coconut milk with water, about 1.5 cups. So it's about 7 cups of water for 4.5 cups of raw rice. Lemon juice and salt to taste. Make sure you don't undersalt it. So when you are cooking dishes like this where rice and meat are cooked together, make sure that the water should taste like salty seawater, because you need to have enough salt in the water to flavor your rice and the meat. So give it a good gentle stir. You don't want to break up the rice. Just move it around so everything is well incorporated. Taste for salt. Maybe a little more. I can taste the lemon juice but not the salt. I'm adding more. Give it a good stir. And we're all set. I'm going to take some of my browned onions, just lay them on top like that, and reserve half of it for garnishing later. Okay, so I'm going to close my If you have a different cooker, it might work differently, but I'm just choosing rice, increasing the time to about 15 minutes, and it just depends on your electric cooker, and then say start. My biryani is now ready. I'm opening up the cooker, my InstaPot. Doesn't it look beautiful? See, you have those onions on top that I found formed a nice crust. Now it could be a little moist at this time, so be careful when you plate it. And you want to fluff up your rice first before plating it. Make sure you don't cut through your rice because it's nice and long with all the soaking. Gorgeous that looks. I can actually smell it right here and can't wait to eat it. I'm going to layer some of those fried onions right on top. Along with the onions, we reserved some of the crunchy onions. Have some cilantro. And as an option, if you have clarified butter or ghee, you can drizzle that on the biryani. Enjoy. This is a beautiful plate of biryani. Enjoy your Dindigul-style boneless mutton biryani.